I'll see you guys next week.
Oh crap. There we go. I was like, what the? Hey guys, welcome to the BAMF podcast, our weekly writers chat where we talk about the ins and outs of writing as new and seasoned writers give their perspective on the methods and madness that accompanies writing. We are joined by sci-fi author J.R. Hanley.
Good afternoon.
And RPG and fiction author Ryan Danks.
How's it going?
Oh, so jealous of your hat. I tried pulling off one of those once, and it was not a good fit.
It's my hair's grown out, like really old man style, because my barber had to go quadruple bypass.
Ooh.
So I don't want to use anyone else. I want to stay loyal. And so I'm just letting it grow, and yeah, hat.
Do you not have like a razor of your own that you can just?
I do, but I kind of want it to be like when I don't know, maybe it's romantic, but when he comes back, I want to be like, hey, I left it for you. So we'll see.
That's brilliant.
I hope he survived. It's been a month. I haven't reached out, but they said about 12 weeks.
Oof.
But that's why I have.
Why was he? Did he get?
The quadruple bypass, I guess, is really intensive. They crack you open.
Yeah.
So it's a long recovery.
No bueno.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of no bueno or bueno, depending on what you think, today I was figuring we could talk about managing expectations in regards to reviews on your work.
Oh my gosh, how timely.
So JR, would you like to start us off?
So sometimes they can be the source of great amusement, like the one you like to quote. Somebody reviewed a book, said, "This is not the sausage I ordered." That's always hilarious. There are actually websites devoted to the hilarious reviews that you sometimes get on Amazon. I haven't really seen a lot of that on some of the other sites, like Barnes and Noble or Nook or any other sites out there, but yeah, it can be a challenge. The real challenge, though, is love it or hate it, is the ones that don't do anything at all. Because I mean, I've got one book I know I sold over 10,000 copies, and I've got like 50 reviews.
Oof.
I'm not liking those. I mean, I appreciated the money. Don't get me wrong, but because a sale's a sale. But
right on, Ryan. Reviews.
So I'm probably bad at it because I lashed out at a really negative review that came for Jade Punk. I got into an internet flame war. It was 6 years ago. I've learned my lesson. Today, I just don't read reviews. I don't even look. So at stars or reviews, I'm like, by the time the review comes, I'm 3 projects ahead. So I'm not worried about it. That's my method because I kind of take it personal. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
But
managing expectations it's interesting because 2 weeks ago, Cyberpunk 2077 dropped. They did a terrible job of managing expectations. And it is kind of something to look at because if you build something up as big as they did for 8 years and let's talk about how great it's going to be, it can only fail. I mean, that's it. There's nothing's going to meet that expectation. But if you go in with your book, or like I did with Jade Punk, I said, hey, here's a thing I want to make. I think it's kind of cool. Maybe you like it. The expectation bar was set really low and a lot of people loved it. But if I had talked about how amazing it was going to break the genre and do all new things, it probably would end up like Cyberpunk and be all over the internet.
Yeah, they're being sued now, aren't they?
Their board of directors is trying to put together a class action lawsuit because they did lie about how well it ran on certain platforms and such, and they knew it did it, and they showed footage for PC saying that it was Xbox One. So yeah, it's looking like it, but I mean, there's no excuse for it.
Yeah.
But I lived through Star Wars Galaxy's release and World of Warcraft. and City of Heroes, and those were terrible for the first 4 months. So I'm used to it, but it's no excuse. They had 8 years.
Yeah. You're
But
craziness.
it comes around the idea of managing those expectations. They did a terrible job, and they're definitely an example.
Yeah.
There is danger in what you say, though, because I hear that from a lot of authors. Is on the one hand, we tell readers, your reviews matter. Please leave them. And then we say, but we'll never read them. And so you have to manage expectations because the readers don't necessarily understand the algorithms and the AI behind all the sales mechanisms. So what we have to do is either stop saying we'll never read the reviews, even though we might not ever do it, or start explaining that the reviews are for other readers. Because if you say, because a reader hears it and doesn't know the back end stuff that we know, and is like, oh, well, reviews don't matter. He's never going to read it. Why waste my time?
I think the way to go about it is like what you just said, is don't tell them, I can't wait to see your reviews, or please leave a review. I'd love to hear what you think. Instead, say, if you really like this, if you leave a review, other people will know that and they'll maybe like it too and be able to pick it up. So please do that, but make it directly towards a community build. Might be the way forward for that. If you're like me and you take it personal, some people can read it and be like, whatever, and move on. But I'm a martial artist, so I'm prideful.
If you've got friends or family that you can say, hey, skim these for me, find anything that's useful, because sometimes you will find useful critiques. But it takes two things. You have to read between the lines sometimes, because they might not realize when they say things didn't flow right, that they're talking about pacing or maybe you're head hopping. So they don't necessarily have the words to say the right thing, like to tell you as the author side. But to have somebody skim the reviews that knows what they're doing and can report back to you just the good stuff or the helpful critiques, instead of this guy's an idiot because everybody knows a clip and a magazine aren't the same thing, and how did he not know that, and blah blah blah.
It's a good idea.
It always amuses me though where the lines are, because it's like, you were with me for the dragons, but not this thing over here that was rather mundane. Like the tent was a little too big for standard. I'm like, eh. So it's always an amusing line.
Well, actually, the surface area of a dragon's wings would probably deflect tungsten in, and you're just like, dude, what? So how do you sift through the reviews to get those nuggets of wisdom that you use to enhance or refine a product? Because I know that I had a product that was out on the market, and one of the first reviews I had, the first 5 reviews, I was all at Twitter. It was amazing. There was, the initial reviews were positive, so I was like, oh, this is cool. The next one was, I got 15 pages into this and just couldn't read any more of it. The layout was terrible, and this was this, and blah blah blah, and so yeah, there was nothing I could use. I mean, he said the layout was terrible, but he didn't tell me what was terrible about it or how it affected his reading. So I couldn't even use the negative review to enhance what was going on. Now, luckily, later on, somebody was more specific and said, hey, this area of layout was jarring and it took me out of the reading experience, but after this it was fine, and they cited where it was, so I could say, oh, all right there, and I went back and I fixed it. But what do you use to when you're looking at reviews? How do you sift through the ones that are helpful and the ones that are like, meh, I stopped reading after 3 pages? It's like, what? Then why are you leaving a review?
So first, you have to understand that sometimes, bad reviews are just because you can't please everybody, and you should get that out of your head that you're going to, like, not everybody's going to like it. And if you need help to understand that, find some of the most well-to-do authors out there who's like household names, Stephen King or whoever, George R.R. Martin. Then go read their reviews on Amazon, and you'll realize that when you get a bad one, like, it's not so bad. If this guy over here is getting them, then mine isn't so bad. And so you got to ignore the ones that are just negative to be negative and look at it like this. Like some people, like their fun is being miserable. Like that's how they entertain themselves, is they've got to have something to complain about. So by writing the book, you're giving them something to complain about. So you're actually helping them have fun. And then as far as the rest, like it's just, you got to learn to skim read, because otherwise it could take forever and just find out what's in there. And sometimes the bad reviews will help sell a book more than the good reviews. We say this all the time on the podcast that will be coming back soon, that I used to host with Winder and Seska, is that sometimes the bad reviews will sell a book. So I got a bad review on the first book I ever wrote that said it was something, it got deleted by Amazon, and I'm kind of upset about that, but it was like something to the effect of, this is what happens when a 12-year-old with ADHD writes gun porn. I'm like, dude, like, I would have bought that book based on that review. Like, that would have sold me. Or I saw one on Michael Anderle's. It was like way too much cussing. I'm like, wait, what? Okay, I'll buy that book. So sometimes the negative reviews do help weed out the right, help you find the right readers for the right books.
A 12-year-old writing gun porn is the synopsis of one
John Wick?
One of my favorite book series. So Monster Hunter International.
Well, he was 13, so I mean, you gotta have a little bit of maturity there.
And I don't think he gets bad reviews.
John Wick too killed my dog. I killed their whole organization. That is definitely a 12-year-old.
Or there was another one. It was I Will Find You and I Will End You. There was another movie where
Taken.
Yeah, Taken.
Yeah.
So Walt's dog's going crazy in the background.
Oh my God! You guys keep talking. I'll be right back.
But so it's about finding the gems in there, and some of the bad reviews help sell the product. So it's just, and then sometimes you got to accept that they don't know what they're talking about all the time, because their experiences don't match yours. They just assume you're lying. So like I read a review of a book in the Galaxy's Edge universe written by an actual former Special Forces guy. And basically the review was something to the effect, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Does he even operate? And so I'm like, I've talked to the guy. I'm pretty sure he's real.
So maybe I've been lucky, but I always get, and it might also be the way that I market my stuff, but I always get on people's blogs, and sometimes I ask for it, but like I'll get somebody will talk about one of my products on their blog, and this is somebody that I respect usually, or at least that I know knows their stuff. I'll read the blog post. And that's how I learned that I needed to work on my grammar. When I was writing Jade Punk, I didn't think it was that bad, and I did hire an editor. But then when I read blog posts about it, I realized I didn't read. I ended up over time reading the reviews in the store, but it didn't really bother me because it was almost 5 stars, and the reviews are mostly positive, so it didn't bother me then. But I didn't back then, and I just read blog posts. And blog post reviews, because the person wants their blog to blow up, so they usually put more work into their review. It's not a 5-second rant, and I like going that route, even if I have to ask for it. Like, hey, you review books a lot. Could you please review mine and just put out there and tell me what you think? Those are the ones that I think are probably the most useful.
But there aren't that many of those. There's 2 reasons for that. One, it costs money to host the blog. They don't get as much traffic anymore. The days of the blogging, sort of explosion have sort of passed.
Yeah.
And so they're just not as many options. And then what's out there, like whatever markets they review, like they're swamped with thousands of people throwing books at them. And it's like, please read mine. So if you're going to go that route, and obviously we all do if we can find them, the trick is to be patient and not be a jerk.
Because it helps to have the reputation, not reputation, but the relationship.
Yeah.
Pretty built.
But I mean, no matter where you are in your career, you can approach those people and be like, hey, I'd really appreciate it if this is something you'd like, if you'd review it, and give them, a review copy. But I know authors whose books will never get reviewed because they were jerks to the hosts of the various sites. And then it was like, no, can you do it tomorrow? Because they wanted it on their timeline, which is fine.
Yeah.
I can understand where you're coming from, but the other person's under no obligation to do that. I mean, they've got a real life, a day job. Their job isn't to be your employee unless you're paying for them, and then that sort of taints the review anyway. Go ahead.
Savage Die Podcast is a popular Savage Worlds podcast, and I hit a bunch of podcasts up about reviewing The After when it came out, and they said we'll take a look at it for $50. And man, they got weird when I said I felt uncomfortable at that. A guy on the podcast named Eric Lameau came back to him after I published the book and said, "Hey, you guys want to take a look now?" And I got a note that he was dragging me on social media. Well, it's me, so I guess it's kind of social media. He was pissed off I didn't pay him $50 for the review back in the day. And he thought it was crazy that I would, but you're still reviewing Savage World stuff. That was Kickstarter preview. This is the full book. What do you think? And it just, left a real bad taste in my mouth. One of the guys on his MeWe page was like, "Yeah, here's the chat log. He's calling you a retard for having the temerity to ask him, to look at your book and not give him money first." It was the most unpleasant review experience I've ever had.
I know some authors who feel like the whole hiring reviews is bad. I mean, Kirkus makes their money off that. So as long as it's disclosed that, hey, they're getting paid for this review, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. But I mean, unless you're paying Oprah to review it, most of the time, what's the point? The ROI just isn't there. So, I mean, I wouldn't probably do that either, but I don't know. I guess I don't have really strong opinions of it, but so you wouldn't see me bad-mouthing anyone for it. I've seen both sides of it, though, because when I first started writing, one of the ways I populated my Also Bot is I did a bunch of book reviews, and I'd write them in depth and 5,000-word reviews. And I learned two things when you're writing them. Is one, it takes a lot of time. So I'm very sympathetic to the people hosting these websites because, you got to pay the hosting fee. That's not free. When they do the reviews, and they take a lot of time to write that. I mean, it's not generally speaking just, oh, this was good. They try to analyze it. So I, on the one hand, I'm sympathetic if they can make money at it, good for them. But yeah, it's a difficult thing to do. And that's one of the things I encourage when people ask me, if somebody says, I'm about to start writing, how can I do it? I'm like, start a blog and write book reviews. You'll make friends. and you'll help populate your Also Bots if you're very targeted. I'm going to write, I don't know, urban fantasy. So all the books I'm going to review are going to be urban fantasy. And you go from there.
So that really works. You make connections from writing reviews, and that helps you later when you want to segue into being a writer.
Worked for me.
Okay.
Maybe do a YouTube channel.
That's what cool kids are doing these days.
Yeah, writers on YouTube are blowing up.
Yeah, we're old guys here, right? Is Instagram where all the cool kids are doing their videos these days?
I do some there. TikTok is actually. I saw an author on Medium. She said that she built her $100,000 a year writing business off of TikTok marketing, being organic TikTok, just doing all the stupid challenges and trends and dances that they do on TikTok, and then getting a following, and then every now and then, hey guys, I just released a book, check it out, and she would convert her 10,000 TikTok followers. So I don't know. I guess just be involved in the world.
So, but there's so many social media platforms out there. If you continually chase the new high, you're never going to have time to do this to make the product you're trying to sell. So find the one that suits you the most, and then just do it. So I do podcasts, even when they went on YouTube, we added them after the fact because our target was audio only, because a lot of people that are listening to that kind of stuff are listening to when they're cleaning the house or when they're, driving to work or whatever. And so they're not looking at the screen, they're doing other things. So you're very aware of that. So you want to show your book cover, that doesn't really translate to what I'm doing. If you're doing just a booktube on YouTube kind of thing, it can work, but you're going to realize that a large part of your audience are audio only. They're not watching. And so you've got to adjust your content.
I do that, but I'll turn the YouTube on in my car, not look at the video, but listen to it like a podcast, just because I'm not in on the podcast. I missed the podcast generation, I guess, the 5 years that it was everything. And so I do what you're talking about, but I turn it on YouTube, which I think is why podcasts like this one should be on all the different platforms.
Yeah, we try to hit YouTube, iTunes, a couple others. I guess it's probably different ages, different audiences. I mean, most of you guys look like my typical audience members, although I've never seen JR except for his avatar. But yeah, I get a lot of people who will get pissed off, like, "Hey, wasn't the stuff up on iTunes yet or on Podbean? I want to listen to it while I drive or commute or do whatever I'm doing. I don't have time to watch YouTube videos like in between. What's wrong with you?" I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Hey, Walt is back. How you doing, Walt?
So
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I had a family member outside the door, and Balder wasn't going to stop barking. So, because say hello.
I feel like I know.
So he
him
was.
on Facebook.
Oh my God! Did you see the thing with the booties?
Yes.
yes.
Cute.
My God! But yeah, yeah, he wasn't going to stop. So we needed to mitigate some damage. But yeah, I have YouTube. I don't know if it's called YouTube Prime or YouTube Premium or something like that.
Right.
And you can like log into a video or whatever, and then shut off the display on your phone, and it'll play.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I got that by accident last month.
By accident.
I
used
wasn't
to
sure.
pay for it.
I was like, hey, you got a free month on YouTube Premium. Like, how'd that happen? Like, you can just cancel if you don't want it. Well, I don't want it, so we can't cancel it yet. So yeah, it was really nice to have play stuff and not have to have the video up.
Not only that, but no commercials. That's the biggest thing. The no commercials thing. And they have original content that is really good. I mean, the whole reason I got it in the first place was to watch The Karate Kid.
Mm-hmm.
But you get so addicted to no commercials, no load times, no, you get free music on their music platform, and I'm just like, I watch more YouTube than I do for various reasons than I do like Netflix or anything like that. And my wife has a Netflix subscription, so I'm like, I don't need one of my own, and this is more useful to me. So, yeah, definitely.
Did you watch since you brought it up, did you watch the show, the YouTube exclusive that was the spinoff of Jumper?
Yes.
I forget the name. I only
Yes.
saw the first season. I don't know if they made a second. Last year
They
I was
did.
sick and I binged it in like a day. It was so good.
So good.
I loved
The oh God, now that I don't have the name in front of me, it's going to drive me bananas.
Yeah, I remember it.
The initial scene with her coming into her powers and what she did. I'm not going to spoil it for people who want to check it out, because now you can actually
awesome.
you can watch the first season on YouTube for free.
It's called Jumper.
No.
It was off of Jumper. It was a
Um,
spinoff. YouTube produced it.
And yeah,
Was it called Impulse?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
There we go. But the first time she uses her powers, like full on blown uses her powers, she's like, yes, I am here.
I see your daughter behind you there, Ryan.
But the first time she uses her powers is just absolutely terrifying. She's afraid. As the audience, you're afraid. That was some really good direction on the part of what they did.
The consequences of that one moment created the entire story for the season. It was so awesome watching those consequences dovetail and create this story that never would have happened had she discovered her powers in some kind of innocent way, like it happened in the movie Jumper.
Right. Just, oh God, but the stress of that moment coming out and like what happened, and it was the way her powers affect her, and oh God, it was
So
very,
awesome.
very well done.
What's this movie Jumper? I haven't heard of that one, so I'm sort of.
I haven't either.
Oh,
Jumper, really? Oh, wow.
It was
Hayden Christensen's
Yes.
departure from Star Wars.
Oh wait, was that the one where he can teleport and like Samuel Jackson's the bad
Samuel
guy?
L. Jackson, yeah.
Okay, I saw that in the theater. That wasn't bad. I'm surprised they do a spinoff because that was like 10 years ago.
Impulse is in the universe of it, but no characters from the show, no storyline from the movie. The show is a standalone story in that universe, and it's far better, far better.
Yeah, they did a really great job of directing it. And like I said, those first few episodes where she's like learning about her powers and trying to hide it from everybody, she's terrified, and you feel terrified for her, and that's really good direction. I hope they do a season 3.
So I need need to watch season 2 then. I didn't know they made it because I canceled YouTube Red after I got better that month. I was down with the flu for a month and
Oof.
binged that because I couldn't sleep.
Yeah, I hope YouTube does more stuff like that, because even the quality of the content, it didn't look like it was filmed on a shaky iPhone, and good sound quality, great special effects. Yeah, they did a really great job. I seriously hope. Sorry,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, season 1 you can watch on YouTube. You can watch for free.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm sorry. No, you can watch the pilot for free, and then everything else is premium.
But the pilot's where she discovers her powers in that powerful scene. So
Yeah.
I literally didn't know YouTube was still doing original content. I thought all there was The Karate Kid or Cobra Kai, which
is now on Netflix. Yeah.
Netflix stole wholesale.
So it seems like I actually wrote about this in a recent article, trying to get authors to buy into the $90 million business model of James Patterson. But because YouTubers figured it out, authors are still not getting on board. And it's weird because it started in the authordom. But the YouTube seems to be focused on the creators that people tune in for right now. And like the Escape the Night was a thing that they basically took all of the popular YouTubers, whether they were into acting or not. A lot of them were like makeup artists or different things like that. But they started doing stories where these big collaborations of tons and tons and tons of people, and bringing them all together and making professional quality videos and stories and stuff with people that have a huge following to bring that following in. I think it's an easier way to get a following than making something and trying to promote it.
That's why I've been hanging out with Walt for the last 10 years. I knew he was going to be famous one day, and if I got in there early, I could ride those coattails, baby.
Oh my God! Well, who's going to be on my when I get my my Netflix series for Entourage. I'm going to turn them down, bring it over to YouTube Premium, and then you guys are going to be lit.
Nice. Well, as long as I don't have crisis calls from my job in the middle of the production, I should be all right.
Or people coming to my house in the middle of the show.
It's a side hustle, people. Sorry. All right. So it sounds like the way to do reviews is A, pay for them, B, find good reviewers and make friends, or C, write your own reviews, build your own literary career, and then leverage the contacts you got from that to get your own reviews.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Relevant to reviews from you guys who have written more than me. Do reviews really matter that much towards selling your books in your experience? Not by what the industry tells you, because I believe half of that, but in your experience, do reviews help you sell books?
I can't really go too deep into how it affects algorithms and stuff like that. JR could more speak to that. But as a purchaser, if the blurb for the book looks like a chapter, I'm not going to read it.
Of course.
The first thing I'm going to do is go to the reviews, and I'm going to see what just average Joe reader thought of the book. And usually I'll go to like a mid review, like a 3 or 4 star, because I'll not only get the cool bits, but I'll get the warts. And I will buy on the strength of those reviews versus what's in the blurb. Or like Facebook is notorious for mining your phone and stuff like that for data. So you can turn all that junk off, but they still do it. And I'll get buy my new series on Amazon right now, and here's a blurb from and it's like, I don't want to read your chapter and then have to wait for something. I get your marketing ploy, but no, I want to read a review of whether it sucks or not. And I'll follow them to the page. Okay, cover looks interesting. Blurb is like 19 pages long. I'm not reading that. Here's the first review. He's got a lot of 5 stars. Here's a 3.5 star. Let's check this out. All right, so maybe he just sucks at writing a blurb, writing a product proposition. I'm going to check this book out, and I will do that on the strength of the review versus, versus going to, and seeing famed author thought this of my book. No, he didn't. He wrote it for you. He probably didn't even read it because he doesn't have that kind of time. He wrote it based on some sort of script you gave him, and no, sorry. But like average Joe reader, those are the ones I want to see. Those are the ones I want to read. And I'll check it out. I recently I have a morbid addiction and I can't help myself. It's like the guy from
Requiem for a Dream.
No. Mel Gibson. He has to keep buying To Kill a Mockingbird because it's a way for the enemies to track him. But I have a morbid addiction to stationery. I love notebooks. Just love them. I especially like blank pages, drawing notebooks. I think it stems from my mom heard a good quote when I was younger and used it to inspire me. And she said, nothing is so full of potential like a blank page. So I don't know if that has to do with it, but I love stationery. And recently I had a thing pop up in my email from Amazon that was like, will you review this notebook? And the notebook is awesome. So I was like, and I took a cue from JR's book. I decided to write a funny review. And I wrote, the cover is well done and thick. Probably might stop a .22 caliber, but definitely won't stop a blaster bolt. One of the benefits of this is when power generators on the ship fail, we have physical media that we can actually write on and refer back to. I'm not sure exactly how it'll stand up to the vacuum of space, but as temperatures decline, and I went into this like sci-fi review of how a notebook ended up on a spaceship. Traveling through deep space. And I actually had the company email me back like, dude, this was awesome. If we send you stuff, will you write more reviews like this? And I'm like, that's great. Absolutely not. No, I did it once because it was fun. But I might buy more of your products because you make good products. So there's that. But yeah, like JR said, a review can be fun and useful. The ones that are really heavy is when you get that guy that's like, I only checked out X number of your product and didn't go any further. That doesn't do anything for anybody.
My favorite was a review for the Swiss Army knives. I'll read it to you if you want. This is some of the stuff I'm talking about. So it's a review for Swiss Army knives, 3 stars from Christy. It says, received this gift. This knife is a gift for my 18th birthday. Wish I had known what it was because as soon as I touched it, I grew a mustache and became a Navy SEAL. Mom fainted, and Dad laughed and handed me a beer. But I was born a girl, so mine is 2 stars because my breasts were really nice. Like someone had fun and thought that out. Like if they like the product enough to spend the time, or like Walt did to spend the time, like generally you don't do that about something you absolutely loathe.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know though. Those 3 Wolves Howling T-shirts on Amazon get some fun reviews, and I don't think anyone's actually buying those shirts.
What's
the 3 Wolf Howling shirts on Amazon? You haven't seen those? Oh, it's the same kind of thing. It's my son has a shirt just like this, but with dinosaurs. You've got animal, moon up above, and it's they were selling these on Amazon, and all the reviews are like, I put on this shirt and I felt the call of the wild. Wandering the wilderness now for 4 years, living off my wits and the bounty of the land. The shirts, and that kind of vibe, but often more absurd than what I just said. And then it went viral, and people from Reddit and Imgur just found the shirt on Amazon. There's like hundreds of reviews, and it's became a whole thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Well, the one that I saw was a verified purchaser, so we know it was actually someone who bought the product. So that's the other thing you can look at. I mean, it's not as useful with books because if they've got Kindle Unlimited, it doesn't show up as verified.
Yeah.
But if they actually physically bought it, it'll say verified, because sometimes you see a bunch of 5 stars or 1 stars and you notice that there's a theme that all of them sort of copied and pasted each other, it looks like. Those tend to be bots, so you don't trust them. But if you see the verified, at least, if they were paid for those reviews, at least they bought the product. So,
But does it actually drive sales, or is
so
it?
I think there's a point where you hit where you've got enough. I don't know where that point is. I used to hear it was 100, but Amazon routinely purges reviews. So one thing that I can tell you about reviews is do not link your Goodreads account to your Facebook account to your Amazon account, because those all three talk to each other. And suddenly people that friended you on Facebook because they like your products and so they wanted to reach out to you as a creator, and in this modern age you can do that. Well, now they're listed as friends and family by Amazon, and or if you follow on Goodreads, and now they can't review your product because it's considered a conflict of interest. Some of my most diehard readers can't review my stuff anymore because of that. So I would say not to link all of the social medias. It's tempting because it makes logging in so much easier, but I would keep everything separate. I know there's a line where you say you've got enough as far as tweaking the algorithms. It used to be 100. I don't know where it is. So I think there's value in them. I don't think it's worth chasing to go insane. And it helps if all of the reviews seem like they were actually written by someone different as opposed to a copy and paste. So, but yeah, I think there is some value in them. Just, I think it can be oversold as well. I think it'll happen organically though, as you start selling.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it sounds like it's the momentum of the snowball. You get the ball rolling with writing the book, and then the universe helps
So
you out the rest of the way.
I paid for college as a barista, and one of the things they taught us in the training was, when you set the tip jar out, you don't set it out empty. You put a couple bucks in it at first to sort of prime the pump. I think reviews sort of work the same way once you get a couple in there, but that's where you have, your street team or your, friends and family, whoever you're going to get to review the first, 10. And then something like Walt said, the 3 and 4 stars will move more for you, or the 1 stars, than the 2 or the 5s will.
Oh yeah. What's his name? James Patterson. Most of his books are 3.5 stars, and he's other than the J.K. Rowling's ridiculousness, he's the best-selling author of all time. And 3.5 stars is definitely lower than I imagined when I researched him.
Well, I mean, he's not everybody's flavor though either. He does a very specific kind of thriller.
And he says that. And I took his master class, and he's like, "Look, most of my readers are this, and that's who I pretend is in front of me when I write, and I don't care what anyone else says.
Yeah,
I care about those people."
Yeah, you find your audience. I mean, I used to do stand-up comedy back when I was much younger and had more hair, and it was the same kind of idea. You pick a flavor and you stick with it. If you're going to be walking on stage as Andrew Dice Clay guy, fine, but that's who you are for the whole 15, 20, 40 minutes of your act. You're not going to change it up and all of a sudden start doing Jerry Seinfeld observational comedy, halfway through it. It's, pick your flavor, work that angle.
Can we hear your Andrew Dice Clay voice?
I don't have that kind of energy.
Is this stand-up on the internet somewhere? I am very interested.
I hope not. I've got a VHS tape over here somewhere, and there was once a 6 to 12 month period when, if you were doing open mics in and around Tucson, Arizona, you might have known who I was. But that was about it. I don't know. The best opener I had, it's so cheesy, it hasn't aged well, but I went to Safeway the other day, and there was this perky young couple in front of me buying brand muffins and condoms. And he paused. So I thought to myself, there's a couple of healthy fuckers. And that was probably the best bit. And this has been, I was doing this 2001. So 19 years. So I'm rusty. Yeah. So I still love stand up, but if I'm watching it, I'm like, well, I'm watching YouTube, because the clubs are all closed. Even if they weren't, you have to drive downtown and deal with the whole downtown thing. So, yeah. So it sounds like reviews are kind of JR, you're the most successful writer of fiction, I think, currently on this call. It sounds like reviews are kind of a weird game where you got to have some ringers at first to sort of get the pump primed. Is that fair to say?
That was what I did, although it feels weird to say I'm the most successful one anywhere. So, because I've seen my numbers.
Yeah, but how many times a day on the Galaxy's Edge fan group is somebody pining for your Reservist 2 book to come out?
This is true, but I think they do that mostly just to harass me, because that's where the building your community. And that's one of the things, when it comes to getting those reviews, you do it by building community. And so the temptation as an author is you want to hang out where all the other authors go. And one thing Chris Fox has said in some of his books, and if you're looking on books on the craft, on the business side, I highly recommend his series, Chris Fox. But he said that was one of the things he learned when he was going through the K boards was that he was in all these great places where other authors are, but they're not his readers. And so when he made that shift and started spending his time in the places the readers were, then that's when he started seeing an uptick in success. And he talks about all that data stuff because he used to program the computers and the AIs and all that weird stuff I don't barely understand. And so that's when I realized that all the social media stuff I was doing was geared towards other authors. And I switched and I started the Galaxy's Edge fan club. I started my own podcast where we specifically focus just for readers focus. Like there's plenty of books, groups, whatever on the craft of writing. I'm not qualified to really do my own. You know, I barely made it through English in college. So like, you know, you got to find your audience, and then the reviews will happen for themselves.
Maybe we should do a book review podcast here on the BAMF network, the BAMF family of podcasts.
Well, they do well, and they're pretty evergreen. So as far as episodes go,
I can review The Reservist.
ouch! This guy never served a day in the military. He's faking it.
You know,
That
it
my
was
favorite
easy
part.
back in the Google Plus days, and I probably got really lucky because I jumped in at that time. But how would you build a community now without the awesomeness that was Google Plus?
So the first is to know your audience. So what kind of books are you writing? Are you writing romance? Then you're going to want to go to places that tend to be more socially liberal because that's the audience for most romance novels. Although then you got to break down romance by what subgenre because then it changes. If you're writing the spicier active romance, that's a whole nother audience and you're going to have a whole nother demographic. So you have to know what you're writing and go where those people are. If you're writing conservative political thrillers, probably not Facebook, maybe go to Parler or Minds or whatever. So knowing your audience tells you where your community is, and then you go from there.
I love that you describe certain romance as active.
That is not mine. I went to a 20 books to 50K event in Vegas in 2018, and that is how Kobo described erotica because there was a 12-year-old author in the audience, and she was trying to be nice.
That is completely reasonable. I can totally see that.
I had to leave the room. I was laughing so hard because that was just hilarious.
And let me tell you, there is a subgenre for every kind of reader out there. So when somebody that JR and I both know had mentioned Bigfoot erotica,
Yeah, that's out there. Yeah.
and I was like, no. And then we had to go back,
Don't
and I was
Google it. Don't do it.
don't Google it. So, but I was like, I went back to the gentleman, Nick Cole from the Galaxy's Edge duo of authors, and I said, "That's really out there." He goes, "Yeah, I know. That's what I said it." I was like, "Holy crap, that's amazing!" But yeah,
that is a thing. Hey, so what do you want to talk about next time? Do you want to meet next week?
I mean, I'm game. You just tell me the topic.
New year, new you. Let's do it.
New year. All right, so this will be the 6th. Same time, 1 p.m. Mountain, 3 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, that works.
All right, cool. And we'll figure out a topic over email over the next 7 days, I guess.
Yeah, that should be enough time.
I can guarantee it won't be Sasquatch erotica, but I will not rule out Yeti erotica. So it's a distinct subgenre.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So have we beat the reviews question into the ground, or is there still something else you want to say about that before we wrap things up?
I think JR should give his favorite line.
Just remember, please be kind and speak your mind on the reviewing platforms.
He is known for that far and wide. And right now, somewhere, a Galaxy's Edge fan is rolling his eyes.
But wait, there's more.
So this Galaxy's Edge community has been really kind to you guys. It sounds like you really kind of connected with a lot of readers that way.
Oh my God, it's like the greatest community ever. Every once in a while you'll have like a troll or a weirdo wander in, but for the most part, you get two distinct types of readers in that community, and they are rabid, mostly because Jason and Nick have surrounded themselves with people who are passionate about their property and inspire that passion in others. But you usually get two types of readers that gravitate to the story. One is hardcore military types who enjoy the attention to detail. that is just enough to tickle their military itch, but not enough to turn it into gun porn. So that's really good. Like in the first book is called Legionnaire, and in the first book, in the first 20 pages, I could almost feel the grit from the Iraqi sand on my teeth, along with the smell of burning garbage when I was reading that book. And I was like, "Holy crap! This is really well done." The other type of reader that they seem to attract are those who were disappointed in the latest crop of Star Wars movies that were pandering to a demographic instead of playing in the sandbox. And the fact that Jason and Nick have both gone on many times to say that, this is Star Wars and G.I. Joe where we're playing in the sandbox and we want everybody to come in and play with us, and it's that kind of inclusive, very open. They're very warm people. That kind of people that build a community that is not only accepting of a lot, but also like is very willing to spend what in a very difficult time for a lot of people, their hard-earned money, spend on the series because A, it's very good, and B, it's they continue to engage with their fans to see the kinds of stories that we're looking for. So yeah, it's very, very, very great series, very great community. So yeah, it's a
community.
If you go to the Galaxy's Edge fan club on Facebook, did I send you that book, Ryan?
You did.
Galaxy's Edge.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Oh no, I read Legionnaire a bit. I read like the first half, and I was just too.
It was too military, right?
Yeah.
So you might want to try the second book then, which is Galactic Outlaws. That's very Star Wars bounty hunter.
Okay.
If you like The Mandalorian, Galactic Outlaws is really good, and they have a side series of which a certain dog who will not remain silent just happens to be part of the book.
Nice.
Your dog has a cameo in the book?
We both do.
All right.
Yeah, and unlike many red shirt cameos where the author kills off the person, they're like, "Hey man, I want to put you in a book and kill you." We both lived.
Very cool.
But
until season 2, dun dun dun.
Yeah, until season 2, because later on, the person that the stories are about, he ends up alone. But the Contracts and Terminations is about a character. Imagine mixing Obi-Wan Kenobi and Boba Fett, giving him the demeanor of a Vietnam War vet with Alzheimer's, and then sending him out into the galaxy with some of the most dangerous tech available on bounty hunter missions. Yes. Oh my God, it's so good.
Did they lean into the comedy, grumpy old men aspect of that at all, or
sometimes?
Right.
But he's very gruff. But he keeps, even though he wants to be a loner, he keeps surrounding himself with. I don't want to spoil it. He keeps surrounding himself with things that are considered a community, but not really groups of people. So it's
like
really,
Batman?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's kind of like Space Batman with Alzheimer's. It's really a fun character. If you like any of the Moon Knight stuff, like the Ellis Moon Knight stuff, it's very reminiscent of that.
I'm hearing Ellis is making a comeback. He's going to start having an online presence again. So I guess he's
really
kind of uncanceled. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. So, hey, JR suggested next week's subject is how to build a community. And that would be interesting. I'm not sure. You know what? That could be fun to talk about. So let's just pencil that in. And sounds like a plan. Ryan, JR, I appreciate you guys coming out. Always fun, sirs. Well, thanks for driving for me for the first half or so.
Yeah, and I apologize to the stream and to the community for having to leave for like 5 minutes. Dog's gonna dog.
Yeah, dogs are gonna dog. So, all right, I got back to the day job. We'll catch y'all next time on the Banff Podcast.
Woo!